Hey there! Today, we're going to have a look at how you can create a map like this using data binding and interactive maps in Mapcreator next. Let's get started. When you want to create a map like this, it really all starts with your data sheet. Let's have a look at my spreadsheet and what this should look like. You can see that I have multiple colors here. These are just for explaining purposes. You don't need these colors in your spreadsheet. When we're looking at the top left at the red country section, you can see that this is my location label. So I have all of my country names here. However, if you want to display a different kind of location, for example, a city or a street name, well, if you just put, for example, Privet Drive, there could be 100 of Privet Drives around the world. So make sure that you put either the full address, this could be just the address with the postal code. If you want to put a city name, for example, Paris, make sure you put Paris and in a different column, France. Or if you want to work with coordinates for even more specific places, that's also fine. We support long and lat coordinates. Continuing on, you can see that in my sheet, I have the happiness rank, I have the letter score, the GDP per capita, and then here my color tab. In my teal color tab, you can see that I have all of my color codes, which I want to be connected to these locations. Then I have the image URL for flags and 2 general web pages for the sources that I used, which I want to link to. Most important data to get correct here is the location. So just make sure that you remember what I explained earlier about either putting a full address, putting as much information as you can, or adding coordinates for even more specific places. Now that our spreadsheet is ready, we can navigate to the Mapcreator Next tool. First things first, let's give our project a correct name. This will ensure that we will be able to find our project easier when we are searching for it in our Mapcreator dashboard. The next thing that I want to do is navigate to the settings wheel on the top left and change our map style from classic to gray. The gray map style is really just such a nice, basic, clean slate. Anything that you add on top of it will stand out, which for this data set is ideal. Then we want to navigate to layers and hide all of our labels so that there's no clutter on our map when we start. And then you are ready to drag and drop your spreadsheet into the Mapcreator Next tool. As you can see, in our case, country is automatically selected as address, but if you don't want this to be the case, you can still deselect it, as well as select other columns to either be long or lat coordinates or addresses. In case you don't have column headers, this is fine, you can still work with your sheet. However, we recommend to have them because it's just a bit easier to navigate. Once you're ready, click confirm and you will see that your data will now automatically be placed on your map. From here, we can start editing our data. As you can see, by clicking on it once, the entire group is selected. In case you want to individually edit items, you can just click on one of the items again, and as you can see, there's now a tiny square around just that one item. Inside the styling menu, you can now see that Egypt is selected. What you can also do is click to the left of this, back on World Happiness Index, to select the whole group again. A different way of doing this is just clicking anywhere on the map and clicking on any of the icons again for the whole group to be selected, and then you can make your changes. And now we're ready to make styling changes to our whole group. Instead of icon, let's change it to a number. And then here you can either type your own value or link it from your spreadsheet, in which case we're going to link it to happiness rank. You can link it from the button right here, or you can type a $sign and continue from there. Same for the color value. Let's link it to color, and as you can see, this is now updated in our sheet. You can also give it a different label color, but in this case, I'm not going to do that because I'm just going to keep the label color as white. Next, this is where you can resize and rotate your icon. In this case, I'm just going to resize them and make them 70% instead. After that, you have the option to add a label. You can either type text here or link it through your spreadsheet with the $sign again, or by clicking on the little table icon on the top right. If you want to remove something that you did, either use the undo button or use Command C or Control Z to revert your changes. Lastly, here we have collision detection. If you turn this on, you can see that some of the icons disappear, but as I zoom into the map, they will appear again. This is to avoid overlap of the icons. In this use case, I actually don't mind the overlap, and I would rather for all icons to be visible, so we're going to keep it as is. Now let's continue with styling the pop-up. Working from top to bottom again, we're going to click Add Media and search for our flag URL, which was our image URL, and add this into the map. You have the option here to fill your image, but in this case, I'm just going to leave it to its true size. Now let's add the rest of the data for our pop-up. What we can do is once again use the table icon, or as I explained before, you can simply type a $sign and then continue with typing and selecting the column that you want. In this case, I want the country name. I want to mention how it ranks with the happiness rank. Then I want to include the letter score, and I want to include the GDP per capita. Navigating to the right of the table icon, you can open the text options. Here you can either manually change your font or your font type, as well as size, or you can click on the pre-selected values that we have here for heading 1 and heading 2. Now let's select some of our other text and make this italic. Now that we are happy with the styling of our pop-up, I want to link some extra data. So what we're going to do is select where we want to link this and click on the little link icon to the left of the table and click on add a link. Here we're going to once again grab some information from our sheet and link to the sources for both the happiness rank and add this, as well as link to the source for the GDP per capita and add this as well. And that's it. You are now ready to export your mapping project. Once we select interactive, you can see that you can have a true preview of your map. And with the pop-up positioning being map element, this is what it will look like. Whereas if you make your pop-up positioning bottom left, you can navigate through the pop-ups by using the arrows. Something else that you can do is disable zooming and panning. This will not allow users to pan or zoom in your map, which in this project, we do want them to be able to navigate the map freely. Other things you can do is add controls for zoom in, zoom out, full screen, geolocation, and reset map. The order of clicking these is the order in which they will appear. And that's it. We can now generate our embed link. And once we open this, we will have an even more true preview of what our end result will look like. Here you can just navigate your map like your users will and jump from location to location. If you click any of the linked texts that are here for the score or the GDP per capita, you can see that this will actually open in a new tab, allowing for your map to still be visible. Thank you so much for watching, and we cannot wait to see what kind of maps you will create with Mapcreator's interactive maps and data binding feature. Bye!